Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. We're just going to wait for some other folks to join today, and then we'll get started on the webinar. If you're just joining, we'll be starting here soon. Just waiting for more attendees to make sure they get in first. Hey guys, we'll just get started here while we wait for other people to join. Just want to kick off this webinar and get it going because we got a lot of content to get through today. We're excited to have you guys here. This is a webinar co-hosted by OctoPerf with Abstracta. My name is Jeff. I'm the head of growth here at OctoPerf. And as I said, we're excited to showcase to you this topic of performance testing as code and how you can integrate OctoPerf with JMeter DSL. Go to the next slide for me, Roger, please. So I just want to ride through the agenda here before we get into the meat and potatoes of the content that you guys are looking to see today. We'll just do a quick introduction on OctoPerf and Abstracta. Sorry, it's all good. As
Sorry.
well as, no, it's all good. Introduce JMeter DSL to you guys, and how OctoPerf can enhance JMeter DSL for your performance testing needs. We'll go into a summary of what we learned today, followed by a Q&A session at the end. And just a quick housekeeping item on the Q&A session. If you guys have any comments or questions along the way, please feel free to add them into the chat, and we'll make sure we can cover your questions during that Q&A session. Prior to just going into the overview of our companies here, I wanted to introduce our great experts and hosts that we brought along today for this webinar. From OctoPerf side, we have Guillaume. I'm not going to even try and butcher his last name, so it's Guillaume, and he is our co-founder here at OctoPerf, and we'll be showcasing the enhancement of JMeter DSL with OctoPerf. From Abstracta side, we have Roger here with us. He is our CTO, and as JMeter DSL is Abstracta's baby, he will be presenting to you guys on the topic of JMeter DSL. Going into the introduction of OctoPerf, you can go to the next slide, Roger. Yeah. So just in short, wanted to give you guys a background of why OctoPerf exists and why it's here today, still on the market. The mission back then at its inception is still today, and that is to help free up QA and developer teams from those outdated and costly performance testing tools that are existing on the market. We do this by combining open source technologies and flexibility with the help of enterprise grade software to enable efficiency and scalability for performance testers and developer teams likewise. The OctoPerf has been on the market now for 8+ years. It's been built by performance testing experts, and we have offices here in the USA as well as in France. We have 600+ happy paying customers worldwide. And some of the reasons why those customers love OctoPerf and still use it today, is we make scripting very efficient and easy. So we enhance on top of some of the limitations that you might find in an open source tool like JMeter. So folks that are power user JMeter or maybe even new to performance testing can easily adopt OctoPerf quickly and easily. Plus, we have integrations with tools like JMeter DSL for what we're going to learn about today, which is writing tests as code and running them as code. OctoPerf has the ability to scale your tests up to 1 million+ concurrent users in the cloud that we have available, as well as be hosted fully on premise for anyone that's more interested in security measures and needs a good performance testing tool. our reporting engine that we showcase all the great reports that come back during the execution of your test, as well as they live on your platform thereafter to continue analysis. Really helps teams today to find and fix performance issues that arise while they're doing their performance tests. And lastly, we integrate into many of the top APM and CI/CD vendors that are out there on the market to further add efficiency and deeper analysis into all the metrics that you might be interested in viewing as a tester today. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Roger to introduce Abstracta.
Okay, great. Okay, hello, first of all. In Abstracta, we have over 15 years of experience. We specialize in co-creating quality software to reduce costs, boost efficiency, and accelerate digital product delivery. Our key services include custom testing strategies, functional and automated testing, performance and security testing, accessibility and tool development, DevOps support, and recently we have added a new service line leveraging AI, including building MVPs and AI copilots to help engineering teams achieve greater efficiency and quality. And that's the presentation for Abstracta. I will now jump to the actual presentation of JMeter DSL and the usage of JMeter DSL with OctoPerf. Before going into what JMeter DSL is and what it solves, let's review some of the advantages of using a tool like JMeter OctoPerf and some of the opportunities for improvement while using those tools. And here we present also the motivation of JMeter DSL. So JMeter and OctoPerf are great because they have a big popularity. I mean, JMeter is the most used open source tool for doing performance testing with a lot of documentation, a lot of community, a lot of sites and the like, a lot of support. There is a lot of flexibility because you have a possibility to use different protocols, a big set of protocols, which is even extended, is greater due to the ability to use plugins, JMeter plugins, which allow you to do a lot more stuff. And you can even implement your own plugins or your own logic in JMeter. So it's very, very flexible in that sense. There is a big ecosystem as well. Like there are many, many tools and services and providers. For instance, there is OctoPerf, that is a great tool and great provider of JMeter to execute JMeter test plans. And in general, one of the main advantages of JMeter compared to other tools is that and also OctoPerf that improves on top of JMeter in this particular aspect is that it provides a local platform. This means that for creating a performance test, you don't need to know to code. You don't need to program anything. You have a GUI that you can use, and anyone, in theory, could start creating test plans. You can use the JMeter GUI for that, or you can use the OctoPerf GUI, which adds a lot more improvements on top of JMeter and makes the test plan creation easier. Other advantages are like live reporting and debugging for free. I mean, you don't have usually to pay for get live reporting and debugging. In other tools, you usually have to pay for those kind of things. And there is also the Java ecosystem. So you can use any Java library or any Java logic that you find around in any JMeter test plan. Some of the opportunities or things that could be improved on top of what JMeter and OctoPerf provides are like development pipeline integration. That's like the main thing that JMeter DSL tries to complement or take the advantages of JMeter and also include or ease these kind of things. Development pipeline integration means like for JMeter, if you want to put the JMeter test plan in Git for versioning and you want to review the changes and keep track of the changes, it will be a little difficult. We will see something about this in the demo that I will show you afterwards. Also, if you work in a team that is a cross-functional team, an agile team, and you want the developers to collaborate in the performance test tool, the developers will need to switch to another tool. They will not be able to use the same environment that they use for developing. This is kind of adds a barrier between the performance testers and the developers that is not nice to have. And another thing that is improved or could be improved in the JMeter experience in general is integration with CI/CD. Usually for integrating JMeter test plans in a CI/CD, you will need to install some plugin or some customization, or maybe you have to implement some particular logic. And we could improving this, taking advantage of existing tools that will show you how we can do that with JMeter DSL. Some other aspects that you could be improved are creation and edition speed. Since it's UI-based, usually creating a test plan is a little slower than what we are going to show you in JMeter DSL. And modularization, if you have big test plans and you want to reuse parts of those test plans, it will make it a little more complex than expected. Like you will have to have different files, import those files, and manage those files separately from the main test plan. That being said, let's introduce JMeter DSL. JMeter DSL is mainly a library. I will present in this demo mainly the JMeter DSL Java library. But there is also a .NET library that we provide, and there is also a community-built library built on top of JMeter DSL for Python. So it's a library that what it tries to do, it tries to get all the benefits of JMeter and try to improve and also facilitate or improve on these aspects that we have identified as opportunities. So now let's jump to the demo so you can get an experience of what JMeter DSL actually is, how you can use it, how you can create a test plan, and what are the main advantages of using it through examples. Okay, so now I will start with creating a project. In this demo, I will show you an example of creating a project from the ground up. But in general, what we advise the teams is not to do this. In general, what we advise is to put the performance test plans in the same repository as the development as the application that you are testing repository. That way, it is easier to include the performance testing in the development pipeline, and also it is easier to do shift-left performance testing. So do performance testing sooner, and don't forget to do performance testing and do it in each change of the application and keep track of the changes in the application, and these changes are tested by this test plan. So that being said, that is like the preferred way of working with JMeter DSL. But in this case, I will start from a scarce project. So I will start with a new project. I will test the pet store application. So now I will name my project pet store test. This is just an IDE. I'm using IntelliJ, but you can use whatever IDE, Eclipse, or whatever IDE your team uses, or VS Code or something like that. I will just create the project, and it will just create a usual Java-based project. Now, what we need to do is I will need to add some dependencies for implementing tests on this project, which are the usual Java dependencies. And I also need to include the JMeter Java DSL library that I mentioned. For that, I'm going to go, I'm going to go to here you have in JMeter DSL, Java DSL, Abstracta GitHub.io. You can find the user guide, and from the user guide, here you have this link to a project that is a sample project that you can use for starting a performance test as the one that I'm going to show you here from the ground up. And from here, I'm copying some configurations that I don't recall by memory, but basically these configurations that you see here, I make the code a little bigger. So you can see it better. I hope that is enough. So these dependencies are mainly for using the latest JUnit version. I also here I'm using JUnit, but if you want to use another testing framework like TestNG or some other, or Spock or whatever, you can use others. But this is kind of usual Java testing dependencies or configuration. This configuration here as well is a usual Java testing dependency. Here I'm including the JUnit. And in particular, I like to use assert shape for doing assertions. You can use other libraries as well. You can use the JMeter included assertions, hamcrest, or whatever. But I like to use assert shape, so that's why I included. And the particular dependency that we have added here is JMeter Java DSL, as you see. By adding this dependency, you will be able to create test plans and run the test plan. You will not need to install JMeter on your machine to be able to run test plan. The dependency already includes JMeter, and you will not need to add anything else or install anything else aside from a Java development environment. So now let's create a test plan. I will create a new class, performance test. Okay. And now let's add a test. Okay. Let's name this test just test. And let's start creating a test plan. A test plan is the basic unit in JMeter for a script to generate performance or load test. Okay. So let's write test plan. And now here is one of the advantages. I'm importing JMeter DSL dependencies. I will just add an asterisk so I don't have to import every method. And now with this, I will have one of the advantages of using JMeter DSL over the GUI in some sense is the ability to search for things to add to my test plan. For example, if I start typing, I see all the things. For example, if I say thread group, I see that there are many types of thread group. I see all the parameters that are possible, and I can even check here the documentation. So I don't have to go to a web page or something similar to get the full documentation. This documentation also includes some best practices and things to avoid. So in general, it's nice because you don't have to switch context and looking for the information in some other site. You have everything here and makes the creation of test plans a lot faster. Right now, I'm going to run what you usually will do for a test. I will create a thread group with one thread and one iteration. And I want this test plan to test OctoPerf. So I will create an HTTP sampler. And this HTTP sampler basically makes a HTTP request. I will put here the HTTPS for OctoPerf. petstore.octoperf.com. Okay, so that's basically our test plan. We are going to just run one iteration and one thread to HTTP sampler. This is going to be just to verify that I'm making the correct request and see that I'm getting the proper response. One thing that I will need for that, for reviewing the request and response, is a results tree visualizer. Let's add it. And one thing that it's missing, the IDE is telling me that something is missing here, is to run this test plan. Okay. So now I hope this works. But now I should be able, I'm running the test plan just with one request, and I'm going to get a nice visualization of the request and response information. It's opening. Okay, it opened here. And you can see here that we can see all the information of the request headers, the response body, and the response headers. So everything looks good. This is green, so it means the request didn't fail. So that is nice and means that my test plan works as expected. Something you can do here, obviously, is add more requests to make your test plan more interesting. For example, if I want to add a post, I could copy this and do this, and then just with dot, you can get all the potential things that I could do with an HTTP request in this case, or with any element in JMeter DSL. This is also a good way to discover things, and I can also review the documentation here for each part of these elements. So if I want to do a post, I already have a method, and this is one of the things JMeter DSL helps you as well. It already includes best practices for scripting. For example, it's a usual common mistake or a problem in JMeter that when you do a post, you most certainly will forget to include the content type. And that is a usual mistake that you can easily avoid here in JMeter DSL because you will be requested to also add the content type. For example, to do a post request with a JSON, I just can do this, and you just have a post with all the settings, the headers, and the like. Okay, but let's remove this. It was just for explanation, and let's remove this. Another advantage of JMeter DSL I mentioned is Git friendly, to be Git friendly, to be easy to review changes and to adapt. As you can see, it's pretty easy to understand the test plan. You can see all the test plan in just one view. Let's compare this to the same test plan, but in JMeter GUI. So here we have the same test plan. Some things to consider is that here are also some best practices already built in the JMeter test plan. For example, this cookie manager and cache manager are things that you usually want to include in your JMeter test plan, but in most of the cases, you will probably forget it. JMeter DSL automatically adds these elements to the test plan, and it configures them in a proper way that you don't have mistakes, and in a way that it behaves more like a browser. That is usually the way that you want your test plans to behave. Here you can see that it's the same test plan, but one advantage that we can see with the test plan as it is in JMeter DSL is that we can see in just one line, everything in just one view, everything that is included in the test plan. On the other side, in JMeter GUI, I have to go drill over all these items to check what is in each of them, what is the configure URL, what is the path. Even if I configure embedded settings, I have to go into these tabs. So it's very difficult to kind of know what are actually the settings or the properties that have been set on a JMeter test plan, and what are the settings that have been set aside from the default, that are the not default parameters. In JMeter DSL, for example, if you want to download embedded resource, you put download embedded resource, and you can actually see here that the embedded resources are downloaded here in the test plan. In the JMeter GUI, you will need to go through all the components. Another advantage is the Git friendliness. Here is the same test plan. If you compare this to this, you can see that this can be interpreted. It requires some knowledge on JMeter internals, but it is a lot easier to interpret this and to understand this and to understand changes in here. If I change the URL here, for example, to a 1, it will be harder to identify or search for such change here, that it will be, in fact, here or maybe here if it is in the past. So here is one of the main advantages of using JMeter DSL in a development pipeline or ecosystem. Now we have run our test. We have verified that this is not a performance test or a load test right now. It's just a test that runs, but the test doesn't fail. If the test plan, for example, if we execute load with it and we see that the response time is over some unexpected time, for example, it's more than 10 seconds, this test plan will just run and will not fail. So we want to put some assertion, we name it, or some condition that allows the test to fail when the condition that we expect the service to fulfill doesn't match. For that, let's add a new kind of debugging element to kind of help us identify what is a good threshold for this service. I will add for that a dashboard. Dashboard, if we go to JMeter DSL guide, let's go to the guide here. And if I go to live reporting, where is reporting? Here, you can see how you can add a dashboard and what you can visualize with it. Let's try it, right? Okay, so let's add this dependency. We add the dependency here. We refresh our Maven dependencies in here. And now let's add the dashboard. Dashboard visualizer. See? Okay, I get autocomplete by the IDE. And now if I run this, let's make it more look like a load test. Let's run this with 10 threads and make a duration of maybe, I don't know, 10 seconds. Let's do that. and run it. So by doing this, we will be able to review the metrics or see how our service behaves under some load and help us also identify what is a good threshold for setting as a condition for the test to fail, right? So here you have the dashboard. And if we review this dashboard, we can see the average, the percentiles, and the throughput, the numbers of errors, and the like. I'm more interested in this part, that is the response time. And we can see that in general, the response time should be under 60 seconds, right? So let's put in our test a condition for the test to fail if the response time is above that. For doing that, it's quite easy in JMeter DSL. When you run a test plan, you can get the statistics, the information that was collected after the test run. So I can say something like stats equals, okay, I create the local variable, and then I can do assertions like assert that. Here I'm using assert assertions, so I have to import them. Okay, that, and I will assert on stats. And here I want the overall and sample time percentile 99. That is the usual or the advisable way or the advice metric to collect. Checking on average metrics of response time is not a good metric. There are posts about that. So I advise you to use percentiles for checking that a service is behaving as expected in general. Obviously, you can check on other type of metrics like error numbers, error percentage, throughput, and the like. I will check that the sample time percentile 99 is less than duration of seconds or of of seconds 60. Okay, just with that, I have a functional test that if the percentile 99 of the sample time is greater than 60 seconds, the test will fail. And since this is a JUnit test, you get automatically integration with any CI/CD tool. All the CI/CD tools have support for JUnit reports. So if this test fail, you will get a proper indication in your CI/CD tool. You don't have to install any Maven dependency or the like. This will run just doing Maven test run, and you will get it running. You will get all historic test results or execution results of the test in your CI/CD tool. So just by doing this, you have a test that will alert you or will allow you to review the stats of your application during time as the performance test is run in each iteration of your application development. So this is great, awesome. So now the next point is, okay, this is good. I can run my test. I can run it in the CI/CD tool. But one problem of this test plan is that it's limited by the resources of the machine that is running the test plan. For example, if I want to run a proper load test on a production environment or a good load test, I will need a lot more than 10 threads and a lot more than 10 seconds duration. Usually for that, just one machine is not enough, and you want to run it at scale in some service. One of such services is OctoPerf, which is ideal for running this test. For that, again, you can go to the JMeter documentation, JMeter DSL documentation, and go to OctoPerf, and here are the steps to add OctoPerf to run the test on OctoPerf. Let me show you how easy it is to do that. I will remove the dashboard since I don't need it any longer, and I will add OctoPerf dependency. Okay. If you add this OctoPerf dependency, now the dashboard has been removed. Now you need to just change your test plan to run it in OctoPerf. For that, instead of run, use run in. And now you do OctoPerf, new OctoPerf engine, and you will need obviously an OctoPerf token for that. You can see an API key. So let's get it from system.get from a system environment. OctoPerf API key. I have an environment variable. Well, I have my OctoPerf engine. And now I can run this test with more threads and with longer duration. And I can run it in OctoPerf with multiple durations and with all the reporting, all the advantages of OctoPerf that William is going to show. Let me just put this test plan to run. I will run it for 5 minutes, and let's run it. I will run this, and William is going to show you the OctoPerf one of the main benefits. Oh, sorry, I forgot to remove this. Okay, thank you. Guillaume is going to show you how this test plan looks in OctoPerf and some of the main advantages of using OctoPerf with the integration of the JMeter DSL. I will just show you how this looks in the CI/CD pipeline or when you run it locally. That you will get the links of the OctoPerf test plan, so you can actually navigate to the test plan while it is running or after it has executed. Okay, it's taking some time. I hope OctoPerf API key, everything looks good. Well, for some reason, I'm not getting the logs now, but I think that we can switch to Guillaume. And in any case, after this runs, I can show you the logs if they appear. I will switch now to Guillaume. Stop sharing. Guillaume?
Thank you, Roger. Let me share my screen, and there we go. So yeah, the test is indeed running, so no worries about that. So thank you for this demonstration, and hello everyone. As you can probably see on my screen, there is a test running right now. This is the one that was just launched by Roger. So this is the one we are going to have a look at. We will get back to the screen where we have all the tests because, well, Roger has been running a fair amount of tests, so we'll have a look at that. But first of all, let's just check this report. We can see the test is going on with 10 users, and it will going for 5 minutes, so exactly as planned. In OctoPerf UI, we are able to scroll down and see the various statistics, the number of execution of our requests. We can see various metrics here. The good thing with OctoPerf is everywhere we go, we can click on those metrics and update them, but more on that later. If we check this graph, we can see the users running, 10 users, the hit rate for this request. So we are around 120 requests per second. And the average response time, which is at 0.08 seconds, so very good. We can dive into this also by looking at the tree, although here it's a bit simple because there's only one request, but we would see all the requests in there and how many times they have run, and a lot of other statistics like the percentile that we can use. That's the there's a lot of other visualization in this report, but what I propose to show you to make this demo a bit more interesting is that, first of all, since Roger has been running a lot of tests, and we see this one is still going on, but you see there are a lot of others below. On the screen, you have an overview on top, but we can select everything by clicking here on Select All to display the entire history of the test campaign. So yeah, only the last ones really matter, but it's just to show you, you would get basic statistics for all the tests you've run. So if you've been running tests for months, this can be interesting to see a trend. We can see the two last tests are exactly identical, so nothing to worry about. I mean, one of them has more users, which wouldn't be the case in real life because you probably want to launch the same test, but I mean, you get the idea. Now let's also have a look. In case you want to understand what's going on from inside OctoPerf, I like to just highlight that we can go back to the design here and see the thread group that Roger has created and see what's inside it. So we could have a quick look, see, oh, okay, that's a request where we're going. So, you know, we can understand what's going on. It's important also because, well, you could do the design in OctoPerf if you prefer using a UI. But if you've done it in the Java DSL, when you import, you can also go back to design and understand what has been run if you're not the one launching the test. You can also run a quick validation to run this single user in OctoPerf in one of our cloud locations. just to see if there's no geo-locking of your application and make sure your script is working fine. Or say you have an error during the test, maybe you want to run this validation to debug what's going on manually. So, let's just wait for a few seconds, show you what it gives us in return, because we will see the request and the response. So in case you get something like forbidden or another error message telling you it's not available, it will be visible from here. If I click on the request, there's this debug panel where I can see the headers and the response to this request, and we can see that we loaded something on the application. It's a welcome page, so we can see it's working fine in our case. Moving on to the runtime, that's also something that was created automatically by the Java DSL, which is a runtime profile. And here as well, you can go and check what's going on with this runtime profile. We could even change it a little bit, like we have 10 users running here. And we could come here and say, okay, I'm going to manually change that because I want to run, I have an issue. I want to run a particular kind of test to figure out this issue on top of the automatic testing that I'm doing through Java DSL. So it's also possible here. You have access to all the settings. It's also possible like to duplicate this group and say, okay, I'm going to run it from a different location. This one's running from Europe, but well, you know what? Let's run one from the US. I'm going to pick a location in North America. Well, we have both now, and we can launch another test, which would be a manual test this time, and we'll be able to compare what is going on. So you see all of this up to this point. This is what was happening when Roger was waiting earlier. Everything, all of this has been done by the Java DSL earlier. This is just interesting on top if you want to debug something or if you're having an issue and want to work it out. It's also a possibility offered by OctoPerf on top of it. We'll get to the report. I want to show you one thing, and then I will probably stop there if you have any questions, because I mean I could speak about it all day, but I'm trying to keep the demo rather short here. We get to the report this time. I'd like to show you something, which is I told you earlier we can do filters in this report, and that's an interesting thing because, well, I mean, of course, the test is just started, so we need to wait a bit to have more data to display. But if we click here, we get to a screen where we can update this graph. And by updating this graph, we can apply a location filter, like say, this one I want to see from Stockholm. There we go. And then I'm going to duplicate it. And this other one I'm going to see from another region, North California. And now we have both response time curves inside the same graph. We can close this window where we were configuring the graph. And if we go back to our report, we can now see if there are different, which they are, because the pet store we are testing is in Europe, so it's faster from Stockholm than California. And we can see that for the duration of the test and keep comparing that. And of course, we can add other metrics on top. So it makes it really interesting to do that. A few things I'd like to highlight before we move on. If I stop a test here, I will be able to export it as a PDF. So let's do that with this test. That's the only thing I have to wait until the end to do. The PDF export can be convenient if you want to share this test report with someone. It also contains the filters we've put in place. So it's also interesting to have in the PDF. But even if I don't want the PDF, know that everything I've done here can be shared with other people using the workspaces. You can give access to another OctoPerf account to see and maybe also edit what you've done in OctoPerf. So this can be shared with many people. Maybe some of them will just go to the analysis screen here and have a look at the basic information we have on the test report. Or maybe it's someone that wants to really do a real comparison here and go into detail and say, oh, okay, I'm going to select those 3 tests and I'm going to do a detailed comparison of them because I want to understand why there's a difference. Then we can go ahead and do that. And then we'll have views like this one where we can see that some of the tests have run more requests. We can see there's a lot of difference between some of them, etc., etc. So it's an interesting way to have more detailed on top of what you can automate with Java DSL. And the good thing with combining the Java DSL with OctoPerf, I think, is you can get the best of both worlds. You can get a very easy automation, something you can put in your source control, something you can automate very easily. But when you want to go deeper, you can also just do a regular use of OctoPerf and just do that. In any case, that's pretty much it for my side for a quick overview. Obviously, if you have questions later, I'd be happy to go into more details. I think I'll hand it over to you, Roger, for the closing notes. Is that okay?
Okay, yes. Great.
All right. Let me just stop the sharing. There we go.
Okay, so now as a summary, we get with JMeter DSL and OctoPerf with all the benefits of JMeter, all the benefits like popularity, flexibility, ecosystem, local platform, live reporting, Java ecosystem. We get all the benefits of OctoPerf as well, like improved test plan creation UI, scale and multi-region, live and historic reports, all the things that Guillaume has just shown you that about flexible dashboard, doing report comparison, a lot of nice features on top of that, but also add the benefits of code, of having the test plan as a code, like being Git friendly, taking advantage of all the IDE's features like embedded documentation, autocomplete. It's easy to do modularization and extensibility of your test plan. Since you have the test plan in code, you can easily create functions or additional classes for that and share the classes in your team. It is easy to read the test plan and to maintain, to review the changes and do new changes. Additionally, you get, since the DSL is implemented in different languages, with the Java DSL, you get support in any JVM language, like for example, Kotlin, Groovy, Scala, whatever JVM language you can think of. And you also get .NET support due to the library that we also support, and the Python due to the great contribution by one of our community members. Finally, and not less on the code benefits, you get more team collaboration. So you get the performance testers and developers to collaborate in the same environment using the same tools, and it's easier for them to collaborate and avoiding these kind of blocks or barriers between different roles or different teams. Finally, some additional benefits just for using JMeter DSL and not just because of code is that you get JUnit. Since you can use JUnit or TestNG, you get automatic support in any CI/CD, and it's easy to run, and all the integrations that the CI/CD tools have on top of JUnit, you take advantage of those. The JMeter DSL also provides a JMX to DSL. So if you want to migrate from your JMeter test plan to the DSL code, there is a section in the user guide about doing that. It's just running a command and you will get the DSL code. We also provide a recorder that you just run a command and you will get a browser, and the browser you just navigate through your application and will automatically create the test plan from there. Some additional benefits of JMeter DSL, as I mentioned, there is all this JMeter knowledge that we have learned in Abstracta, and all these good practices that we have learned over time are built into the tools, or are batteries included into the library. So we encourage you avoid some of the common pitfalls that you might find using JMeter. And finally, we have an active community which is very helpful, and we try to answer any questions. And the documentation, we have received many comments from the community. It's a really good documentation, and it's very detailed, and it goes in a progressive way, so you can get to use JMeter DSL without any knowledge on JMeter. So even if you don't know JMeter or don't know how to code, we think that it's easy to start using JMeter DSL from the top right, from the bottom, from the start. Okay, so now with that summary, it's time for Q&As.
Yes, and we have a few questions already, Roger and Guillaume. Guillaume, I see you've answered a few of them in the Q&A section already, but maybe we'll just ask them to you guys so that everyone can hear them. So the first question we had is asking if OctoPerf and JMeter DSL can integrate with tools like Dynatrace and Datadog.
I can take that.
Sure.
Yes, usually the way you will integrate it is in the application that is being tested. You will use such tools and you will review the test plan in there. I think that in the OctoPerf side, there is some integration with the APMs, right, William? I think
Yes.
you mentioned something about that.
Yes, I did. I put a link in the response. I don't know if everybody can see it, but yeah, there is an integration to use the. It can be done in two ways. You can add a header in the request so that a real user monitoring in these tools will catch it up and add statistics. But you can also send all the metrics from the test into these tools along with OctoPerf, which gives a lot of possibility in terms of how to integrate.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And then we have another question in the chat. The question is asking if JMeter DSL can allow users to test JavaScript applications as they would functional in a browser.
Well, yes, in some sense. JavaScript applications in general, you can replicate every request that a JavaScript application is doing. So you can implement that in JMeter DSL as you can do it with JMeter in general. There is a section in JMeter DSL user guide about using Selenium. Using Selenium allows you to actually run the JavaScript application and run the entire application, the entire flow of an application that uses some React or some dynamic JavaScript calls. You can use that in combination to JMeter DSL to better simulate the actual application execution. That is usually not advisable because running a browser, like that integration requires running a browser for each thread in JMeter DSL, which is costly and will require you to run in several nodes or agents in several machines to be able to get the same execution as you will get with raw HTTP request. But it's one possibility. I don't know, William, if you want to elaborate on
Sure.
this.
First, thanks, because that's what I answered for JMeter DSL, so you confirmed I know what I'm talking about, which is always good to know. Yeah, you can do the same in OctoPerf. I totally agree with the fact you should try to do it in JMeter, in typical JMeter first, before going into real browsers, because they have a cost associated to them. And just a bit of advertising for us, because we just released integration with Playwright in OctoPerf. So it's also possible to do it this way, but it's the same problem. It's also very costly. And it requires, because it requires real browsers that require more resources.
So thank you. We have one more question in the chat right now, and I believe this is mainly for you, Guillaume, for OctoPerf. The question is, are China and Japan regions supported? And if they are, how is security ensured?
Mainland China, I'd say no. I mean, there's, I think it's Hong Kong, but it's Hong Kong is a public zone in AWS anyway, so that's probably not your question. The other parts of China are not available in AWS, so it's not possible to test from there, from our cloud platform. But it's possible to install OctoPerf agents wherever you have a Linux machine. So if you already have a machine there, you can just install our Docker agent. And when it's running from there, you can use it from the UI. It's the same way I did for the cloud agent. So if there's any location missing, you can always do it this way by integrating your own. And for Japan, actually, give me a second. I need to go back on the map. I don't think I've run a test from Japan personally, but it might be there on the map. Yes, we do. Tokyo. Well, the AWS and Azure location in Japan are there. In terms of security, all OctoPerf agents only have the minimum level of information, so there's no risk associated with that. No more in Japan than in any other region. Or maybe I didn't understand your question. Feel free to elaborate.
Okay, well, if they have more elaboration, we'll get that question here in a sec. We have one more question in the chat right now. Are there other observability options besides Datadog to add in the future?
I can answer from OctoPerf perspective, but we use things that exist in JMeter and JMeter plugins. So I'm pretty sure if it's not already there, it will probably be there in the Java DSL one of these days. We use the JMeter reporting. I forgot the name, but a reporting element that send metrics to observability tools. We also already have a couple of the others in there. There's Prometheus we could integrate. It's there, but so it could be a possibility in the future. We already have one for Elasticsearch, but it's very likely that we will add more in the future on our side. And I'm pretty sure people will add others to JMeter as well.
Yeah, regarding JMeter DSL, there are different integrations with different observability tools. Like Prometheus there is an element for that. There is an element for Elasticsearch. There is an element for InfluxDB, even for Graphite. There are different tools. If you want, you can also store the results in a JTL file, which can be a CSV or a XML file that you can get all the results and later on analyze them with whatever tool you want. You can also generate an HTML report in JMeter DSL, so you can access it right away. But I don't encourage much of that. In general, I will encourage you to just use the OctoPerf metrics and dashboard and use that for reviewing your performance execution.
Great. And our question around security with China and Japan, there was some follow-up here. So they're just wanting to see if there's any sensitive data from the responses suppressed, like credit card info and other info like that.
Well, yes and no, but I wouldn't recommend testing with real credit cards anyway. I mean, a load test is going to do a lot of transactions, so you're probably going to use either test credentials or credit card toward your payment provider. So in that case, this wouldn't be an issue. And yes, if there's sensitive information, it can be hidden if required. It depends on the application. Because OctoPerf will only store the responses in case there is an error. So you can just ignore them if you don't want the sensitive content.
And then just following up on other APM vendors, question about integrations with Dynatrace and App Dynamics.
Yes, for Dynatrace, there is a plugin in JMeter available for anyone to use. We have implemented it in OctoPerf. For Dynatrace, there is no such plugin. We can add a header for App Dynamics in order to send more info to it, and it's possible in JMeter as well because the header it's just I don't know if there's a plugin per se, but it's possible to just add the headers. There are a lot of guides explaining this online. I'm pretty sure we have
in
one on
JMeter
our project.
DSL, it's just a method on HTTP sampler that you set dot header and set the key and the value, the name and the value, and that's it.
Perfect. We have one more question in here. Is it possible to configure directly on JMeter DSL the same filters you showed in OctoPerf?
The filters.
I think you're talking about the filters under reporting, which I think the answer is not yet. Obviously, I hope it will be soon, Roger, but
yeah,
it's probably one of the more advanced features. So maybe one day we'll work on it, but yeah.
That's right. JMeter DSL, there are many features that are included, or some features that are included in JMeter, or you can use in JMeter or OctoPerf that are not yet implemented. We encourage everyone, if you have any particular need, to create an issue in GitHub repository of JMeter DSL, and we will do our best to implement it as soon as possible. We usually request like a reason for implementing some such features, but usually adding features that are already available in JMeter DSL or in OctoPerf, or in OctoPerf is quite easy. There was another comment I was going to do, but I forgot about that. So let's move on.
No, I think
We don't have any open questions right now, so if you guys have any in the next minute here, feel free to post it on there. Otherwise, we can give you guys back a few minutes of your time.
Okay, yeah, there is a pitch about Abstracta and OctoPerf.
Oh, right, yes.
As OctoPerf partners, we can help you, Abstracta can help you implementing OctoPerf with zero effort on your end. So not only we can help you with implementation and best practices for performance testing, we also have a deep understanding of testing strategies in all areas of testing and can help you, your team, bringing testing to the next level. We invite you to schedule a new one-on-one session with one of our experts to explore how OctoPerf and JMeter DSL can elevate your performance testing strategies. If you want to contact us, just abstracta.us and you can contact us there and we will get in contact with you.
Thank you, Roger. We do actually have one more question here that we can potentially answer real fast. Guillaume, are there any AI strategies that you wish to implement in OctoPerf in the near future?
Most of the features AI can add at the moment are related to image generation and text generation. And for now, that doesn't really make sense in OctoPerf. The result correlation could be interesting, but it's mostly older forms of machine learning that do that. Thing is, when you're in the Dynatrace or other tools that have a lot of metrics on a daily basis, it's easy for them to do correlation with AI because they have a lot of metrics. In OctoPerf, load tests are not run often enough for that to make sense for probably 99% of our customers. So we'll keep an eye open as to what happened in the performance testing world around AI, but so far I haven't been impressed with all the applications I've seen. Let's put it this way. But it can change.
I think that's all the questions we have. Any last questions before we hop off here? If not, well, we can, you guys can always contact us if you have further follow-up and questions. If you're interested in services from Abstracta, as Roger said, you can contact them. If you are looking to see some more info on OctoPerf itself, feel free to reach out to us. You can just contact sales@octoperf.com and we'll make sure we can answer you and as quickly as possible. But with that, I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Guillaume, for being here today. It was really informative for everybody that was here. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a
All
nice rest end of the day.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.